Great question. At the Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry, representing the businesses in Lagos, we've tried to watch the ongoing debate with keen interest and also consulted with our members. So, part of what I'll be saying here is exactly it's born out of consensus, and part of that my own personal opinion. At the Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry, autonomy of the CBN is non-negotiable. But the question is, what type of autonomy? What type of autonomy? Of course, we have operational autonomy, we have instrumental autonomy, and we have financial autonomy. At this point, the agenda here is financial autonomy. Of course, the CBN Act of 2007 is clear, Section 1 is clear on operational autonomy. That is, ability to manage the economy, inflation, exchange rate, regulate the banks, as the case may be, without the interference of executives and the legislation. But what happens to the financial autonomy? The same revised budget, the 2007 budget, was clear that the central bank should submit to the legislatures the financial statement, annual financial statement and account to them, although that is a history. That is historical. We are talking about proactive financial statement at this time, and for the fact that central bank has got a lot of power, like the senator rightly said, to dole out some money. I want to put into perspective from 2010 till date, 1.5 trillion naira was spent by the Central Bank of Nigeria intervening in various sectors of the economy. For example, bank, about 620 billion naira flowed into the banks. I'm not sure if the legislatures were part of the process, either in terms of consultation or debate before the money was released. Of course, it is not the president's money; it is my money, your money, taxpayers' money. And we say we are copying some advanced countries and model, like the CBN, like the Federal Reserve Bank of America. And we during the crisis, the American crisis, the meltdown, the first tranche during Bush was debated. You remember when McCain and Obama have to maybe cut their campaign trail to go to Washington to vote. The same thing happened during the second tranche. About $1.3 trillion also flowed out, but the senators were carried along. So we want a situation at the level of private sector where our money, taxpayers' money, there is a sort of consultation with the legislatures. And again, somebody will say, when you are consulting the senators or the legislature, is it not going to take a lot of time before a crisis may happen and we need to intervene? And the idea is, if it is possible, one, to strengthen the corporate governance of the CBN a little bit more than what we have in the 2007 Act, by having a legislative representation at the board. Today we have 5 independent board members, 2 from Ministry of Finance, to make sure that there's harmony between monetary and fiscal policy, as the case may be. I think we have to think towards that direction. Corporate governance issue have to be there. Establishment of intervention, CBN Special Intervention Fund also have to be there. We don't really subscribe that any action, whether it is bailout or monetary policy, that CBN have to rush to the legislatures to say this is what I want to do. No. But if they have a legislative representation at the board as independence, and also have something like a special intervention fund, approved for the CBN to draw down whenever there is a crisis in the economy.
So you're talking
approved
about
by
being
whom?
pre-approved.
Approved by the Senate, by the legislature.
Assembly.
Yeah, that's what passed
Assembly.
through National Assembly. That's
Okay.
what we're
So
saying.
the CBN governor would not have been able to donate that 100 million that he did without recourse to anybody.
Yeah, in the new suggestion, no. In the new suggestion, no.
Okay. Now the 5,000 naira bill. Everyone who is anyone in the economy of Nigeria spoke. But it took for the National Assembly to say something before the CBN decided to put a hold on it. What's your comment on that?
That's
in light of what we're talking about
now. Before the president put a hold on it, not the CBN.
Okay. The president now
being the supervisor of the CBN, as it were, so said, listen, okay, on balance of opinion, let's slow it down. But before I go into that, I'll quickly say that, contrary to my erudite Oga, Mr. Les Lever, who's here, the idea behind intervention is not necessarily to grow the economy. When the central bank or any central bank in the world intervenes in financial markets to prevent a cataclysm, to prevent what they call systemic crisis, you're not hoping to grow the economy then. The economy is in free fall. People are going to get to the banks and not be able to withdraw their money. We remember what happened in Argentina, in different places, in the Asian crisis and so on. You don't want people to take their pots and pans to the banks and start banging. So what you do is you move in very quickly, and that's one of the problems that may happen if you subject the decisions of the CBN or the central bank in general to the rigmarole of the National Assembly. However, it must be said, like I'm not learned, but he's learned. Like he has said, the lawyer, it's very good to dialogue, and when you dialogue, you find out that solutions will happen. My problem with the approach right now is that there's so much anger, and when you're angry, you're almost blind. It becomes almost a blind rage.
Sometimes
he has suggested like, can you put a legislative representative there who can get first-hand information on the board or whatever, and then it makes it quite neater. And there's nothing wrong really if Nigeria can evolve a system that may be slightly different from what obtains in the US or in Europe. Yeah. And it becomes a Nigerian system and something that works, and then we don't have all the anger on the street. So to a large extent, one of the key problems and the reasons why central banks need independence is to be able to intervene quickly in the financial markets. Because, for example, a few bank MDs lost their shirts the other time. If you were talking, if you had to go to the National Assembly as structured with the present system, we will still be debating, because the man from the constituency say, look, this MD is from my constituency. You can't remove him, it's from my constituency. And you know what will happen? The entire system will seize up. And you don't want to have that. It's not going to be funny. So you see, in fact, let's remember, with hindsight, at times when something good happens, but at times some very good things happen. They're kind of often intangible. The reason why we still have banks today and we didn't have that huge problem was because the central bank was able to intervene and put that 620 billion or thereabouts in the financial market. It had its own effects then, and I'll let you know. Usually it will have a slightly inflationary effect. Okay, because what you have done is made so much money available to these banks to be able to draw from, and then you're kind of increasing money in circulation. But everybody pays for it, okay, because of inflation. But that said, it was something that was absolutely important to do then. Otherwise, it will not be funny. Of course, you don't want... See, I worked in the bank for about 13, 14 years. I met... when I worked in the bank, which was revived from a dead one, and some family of a certain customer came. A customer who could not withdraw his money on his sick bed and had to die because the bank was having problem. He had money in the bank. He couldn't pay for his operation. And he had money in the bank and he had to die. How many tens of thousands of that kind of things would have happened? Therefore, you need a central bank that can act, a regulator that can act like this on the spur of the moment. Now to your question of the 5,000. And that's a big question.
You finally got there.
Yes, so basically, you see, let me tell you, the thing about the 5,000 is it's fine. A lot of opinions have come up. Like I said again, most of that have been based on anger. I personally did not see anything wrong in the 5,000. Perhaps, yes, the central bank could have spent more time educating the people, and what we actually need is just education. And I tell you what, the thing is this, however, the central bank alone cannot do that education. Myself, yourself, your program, Enlighten People needed to do the education. But what we did instead was we miseducated the public. And by that I mean that if someone comes to me and says, by just putting money in circulation, 5,000, inflation will go up. I ask, how? How is inflation going to go up just because someone printed a currency and begins to... how? Now, if you're able to explain to me how, perhaps you say, the best argument you can give me is that, the way our people think, Now, therefore, what we need to do is to try and influence the way our people think. In which case, I'm saying that the government will try so much, but there's more and more responsibility devolving to us as individuals to stand in the gap, to do what is right. There's no way that introducing 5,000 will not cause inflation.